The point is, it's not worth the money to. What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Dirt Bike Channel, and in this video I'm going to tell you whether or not you should actually buy one of these hard enduro bikes. It's a special edition bike. They're pretty cool bikes, but I've never bought one before, and there's a specific reason, and we're going to go through line by line today and talk about whether or not it's worth it or if you should buy one of these special edition bikes. But before I do that, I'd be remiss to say, like, if you're watching this on December 31st, 2023, you can enter to win this bike and this bike over here. The link is down in the video description, but you only have until the end of the day, midnight tonight, to get in on these two bikes here. So let's talk about what this bike is, how much more it costs, and if you should even consider purchasing it. Okay, so first off, I looked on the KTM's website, and this hard enduro version is actually $1,600 more expensive than just the standard XCW version. And 1,600 bucks is quite a bit. And I'm gonna break down the things that you get on this. I just kind of went around the motorcycle and looked at it. I'm gonna break down the things that I think are just bling, meaning it just looks good, but it's not really adding any value to me at all. And then there are some parts that I think are protective parts. Those parts do have some value. Now, I'm not saying that the bling has no value, because it's a cool looking motorcycle. And if you just want a cool bike that's more of a limited edition bike, it's great. I didn't even list the fact on here that it has an orange frame, but the bike looks really good. I do like the graphics. I do like how they look. But honestly, it's a lot of extra money, you know, and you might not want to spend that money. And I typically don't want to spend the money. I will just tell you right now, well, I'm gonna leave it till the end. But, so let's go through some of the things, and I'll try to roll in some shots of this stuff as well as I'm talking about it. But the first thing that I wanna mention that is absolute bling, makes it look pretty trick and pretty sick, but it's total bling, are the orange anodized triple clamps up here. They look super good, but these are a billet triple clamp. The XCW over there has it on there. I mean, the XC bikes have these billet triple clamps, but they're typically not orange, they're usually black. But I can't tell the difference between the forged triple clamps as far as the feel and the anodized billet triple clamps. I can't tell the difference, but it is a bling thing. So that's something I'm like, well, I'm kind of wasting my money on that, but it does look good. So there's that. The one bling that I think is actually pretty cool is the graphics. You will not get these graphics on any other bike. So it's a cool custom graphics kit, but again, a lot of people do their own custom graphics, and you can design your own, but that's what you're getting on the hard enduro bike. Other things that I think are bling, you get the seat cover. Now, some people might argue with me and say, well, this seat cover is more grippy, and it's maybe it's a little better than just like the stock seat cover, so it might be a little better, but still, I think it's just bling. It's a gripper seat. It's cool, but it's bling. It's not really adding value to me. Another thing that's bling, you get the spoke nipple. So on this, and it looks super trick, against that black wheel down there, you get those really cool orange spoke nipples. They look amazing, but this isn't making you a better rider or really doing much at all. Another thing that's bling is the orange hubs. They look super cool. The orange hubs versus what you would get on just a stock, a standard bike, because on a standard bike, that's gonna be a brushed aluminum. On this, it's an orange anodized hub on the front and the rear. Looks really cool, but that's not adding any value. It's not protecting anything. I don't think it's stronger. That is what it is. Another thing you get is the sprocket. Now, I do know the sprocket, so you get a bling sprocket. Now, I understand the sprocket is actually probably a better sprocket. This is made by Super Sprox, and essentially you've got the steel outer ring on the teeth, and then you've got the aluminum on the inside. And so it probably is a better sprocket, but honestly, I don't wear sprockets out. By the time, you can put 100 hours on a sprocket, by the time you've done that, you need to replace the chain and the sprocket and everything. So it's like, that might actually last longer than typical sprocket, but it's not really, that isn't really a thing for me. I don't think, so it's a good sprocket, it's a great sprocket, but are the stock sprockets sucky? No, they're not. So that's just a bling thing too as well. Looks really cool. Another thing I'm just gonna say is bling is the map switch. You get the map switch on the because on a typical XCW, you don't get the map switch to switch between the hot map and the soft map. But and you do get it on the XC bikes. You don't get it as a standard option on the XCW bikes, whereas on the hard enduro version, you do get it. The reason why I'm saying it's bling is because I don't think it's adding any value. I still don't believe that that map switch is adding any value, because I think the hot map is where you need to be, and then the softer map is garbage. I don't think it's usable. I don't think it's worthwhile having. I never switched to the softer map. These bikes are mapped, the XCWs are mapped soft enough anyway. You don't need to make it any softer. So that's my opinion on that. So now let's go through the protective parts, and this is where there is some value. There's a couple things on here that I think are valuable. First off, I just want to call the elephant out in the room. The XCW and the XCW hard enduro version have the same skid plate, so I'm not going to talk about, that's not a differentiating factor. This is an okay skid plate. It's serviceable. It's not the best one you can get. This is going to be a theme as we talk about this. So that isn't any different. The XCW, the standard XCW, is going to come with this skid plate as well. But some of the things that are unique to this bike, the hard enduro version, it comes with a front disc guard. I do think that's valuable. I don't put front disc guards on all my bikes, but it is a good idea to have. So that's a nice protective part, okay? So that's cool. Another thing is the rear disc guard. That is something that I think is like absolutely mandatory in the West, is to put a rear disc guard on your bike, and this comes stock with that, which is awesome because then I don't have to install it. It also comes with these full wrap hand guards up here. Now, let me say though, these are the worst full wrap hand guards I've ever used. It's just this plastic piece that comes around. It hooks into it literally is just a plastic piece that comes out of the bar here, comes around, and it hooks in just to your like clutch. There's like a plastic piece on the front of your brake and on the front of your clutch, and it just hooks in with one little screw. They are the cheesiest full wrap handguards I've ever used, and I don't like them because then I can't adjust my levers in and out because the lever is connected to the handguard, which is connected to this over here, so I can't move it. So yes, you do get full wrap handguards, but they're the worst full wrap handguards I've personally ever used, and I'd much rather have something different, okay? So that is great, but it's not what I would want, for sure. And then another protective part that you get is this billet oil cap down here. I have seen one instance where a billet oil cap was really useful, and I sometimes have put these billet oil caps like this on bikes, but it's kind of the different, it's maybe bling, maybe protection. I listed it as protection because I have actually done that in the past, is put like an aftermarket oil cap on here on one of these bikes. So I did give them like, okay, cool. That's maybe like a protection thing. Here's the main thing that I think that you get is the radiator fan. So I'm listing the radiator fan as protection because it's protecting your bike from overheating, and pretty much on all these, ever since the bikes went fuel injected, I've been putting radiator fans on all of them because they do run hotter, and it's nice to not have the bikes overheat. So the fact that that comes factory is probably the biggest thing for me. And then because that's great. I wish all the XCWs came with that fan, radiator fan factory. And then the last thing that I noticed was the clutch master cylinder guard down here, right by that front sprocket. That's another protective piece that you get. I typically don't install those. So the things that they're putting on the bike that I'm always going to install anyway are really only two things. They're putting on the radiator fan, which is I think the biggest thing, and they're putting on that rear disc guard, which is also a thing that I essentially will do to all of my bikes. But I did actually install a fork shoe down here too, because they don't install that fork shoe. And I only installed the fork shoe on one side because the front disc guard is such that I don't really think you can't even install the fork guard on that other side, or that fork shoe is what I should say, on the other side. So even though it's quote hard enduro version, I still had to put that on there. I don't like the hand guards. And you don't get a pipe guard. Now, I typically don't run pipe guards either, but the point is, it's not worth the money to me. It just isn't. Now, this bike is cool. I'm giving this away to you guys, and it's gonna be an awesome bike, and the sweepstakes closes for it tonight on December 31st of 2023. So if you haven't entered, go ahead to my website, click the link down in the description, or go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and get entered to win this thing. If you're watching this in 2024, sorry, the sweepstakes is already closed. But, in January or some other time. So no, I don't think these bikes are worth it. You're paying $1,600 extra, and the only thing I'm getting that I absolutely have to have is this radiator fan, which is around 200 bucks. And that disc guard, which is anywhere between $60 and $100, depending on what you do. So at the very best, it's giving me $300 of stuff that I would absolutely have to have on a bike, but I'm paying $1,600 more for it. And most of that is because of the bling parts. Now I did list front disc guard, rear disc guard, full wrap handguards, billet oil cap, radiator fan, and clutch master cylinder. I listed 6 things that I think are actually protection, but only 2 of those things are things that I would definitely do. Now obviously it has a tugger strap. I'm not even gonna talk about the tugger strap. The rear tugger strap doesn't even work if I feel like, I don't have it on the bike, it doesn't even work if you have the actual like, tail light assembly on here. At least I couldn't see how it really works great, so I didn't put that on there. So you're paying a lot of money. You're paying $1,600. The benefit though is they put all this stuff on there for you, but then if this was like a primary bike for me to actually go hard enduroing all the time, I would change my handguards. And so that's kind of a disappointment. So it's like, I don't like that. It's a cool bike, cool bling, but there's a big reason why I've never done it before, because it's a lot of money for a lot of bling, and I just don't, it isn't like worth it to me as a motorcyclist the way that I am, as a dirt bike rider the way that I am. But it's a cool bike and you can end up winning it. So I wouldn't buy one. I did, but like, would I buy one over and over again? No, I wouldn't. I'll just get the standard version and I'll put a few things on. A lot of times I'll even upgrade the skid plate to like an SXS slide plate. I'll put a rear disc guard on. I'll put a fork shoe on. I might go full wrap handguards, you know, a couple other protective pieces, but I'm not gonna just like do some of the things that they've done on this bike. So anyway, that's the real reviews. If you want to support Dirt Bike Channel, buy some gear, buy a shirt, buy a hat, buy tie downs, buy something, or use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV. That is an amazing way to support me because it doesn't cost you anything. If you're gonna buy something for your bike, a tire, you know, tools, riding gear, any of that stuff, Rocky Mountain ATV cannot be beat. They have the best prices in the industry. They have the best selection in the industry. It's free shipping on orders over 75 bucks. And if you use my link, it helps to support me, doesn't cost you a dime. And if we're doing a sweepstakes, it gets you entered in to win these bikes at no cost to you. So it's a free method of entry, essentially, because you're gonna buy the stuff anyway. So that's what I have for you guys today. Hopefully you like these unbiased reviews and just like motorcycle talking. So anyway, until next time, enter to win these suckers and leave a single track. Thanks.